gun screaming like a siren at night. Red and blue shouting, nobody's right. Smoke in the streets, truth under attack. Everybody's loud, nobody's got facts. Feeds keep scrolling, nerves stay tight. Matchsticks flicked in the dead of night. They sell fear, cheap package the lies, while the clock keeps ticking, empires on fire. Can't sit quiet while the world's on edge. Lines in the sand, standing on the ledge. No script, no leash, no polish, quiet. Just a voice in the dark and a spark to the wire. This is and I'll bring the fire. Gonna light it higher. No filter, no fear, I say it raw. Strike the match, let it burn through the fog. This is and I'll bring the fire. And I'll bring the fire. Everybody's selling truth like a brand, buying opinions they don't understand. Talking in circles, screaming online. Keyboard courage, borrowed spines. Yeah, power plays dressed up as peace. Same old wolves with different teeth. But silence is loud when the house is burning. And the fuse is short, yeah, it's still learning. I don't dance for the left or the right. I stand in the heat, I stand in the fight. No strings, no chains, no manufactured choir. Just gasoline thoughts and an open lighter. This is and I'll bring the fire. Gonna light it higher. No filter, no fear, I say it raw. Strike the match, let it burn through the fog. This is and I'll bring the fire. And I'll bring the fire. The world's on tilt, pressure climbing. Truth don't whisper, it's perfect timing. You can't cancel the smoke, you can't stop flame. Say my name when it hits, say my name. Why? Say my name. Say my name. Fire don't ask permission. Fire don't need a side. Fire just shows up honest and exposes the lie. This is and I'll bring the fire. Truth hits harder. Burn it down till what's real survives. No smoke, no mirrors, just heat and lies. And I'll bring the fire. And I'll bring the fire. America, fire. Strike it. Let it speak.
What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. It's almost the weekend. I hope I can help you get through this final day of work before whatever it is you have planned this weekend. If you even get a weekend, I hope you do. What a day. We have gotten some massive news coming in today that is good for the Trump administration and very, very bad for Democrats, deep state, all the above. City of London going bye-bye, getting lots of trouble. They are panicked, folks, because it's all falling apart for them. And we're going to cover that today as Trump got some massive wins, including a jobs report that just it didn't blow away expectations. It obliterated them. It blew up the world. And, of course, with this awesome news for the economy, the stock markets are down. So you guys tell me what's real, what's not. But, they passed, and we did cover this a little bit yesterday, but the enforcement ICE CBP is now passed through 2029 as long as the House passes it, which Johnson will get it done. It'll go to Trump's desk. So that's a massive win as well. And the Democrats are collapsing because their man, Graham Platner, who they've all got behind, this populist, amazing guy who they were making the face of a lot of what they're doing, it turns out he's one of the worst people ever. And a New York Times story just came out, which they pay attention to the New York Times, making him look worse than ever. So it's all going in the right direction. So, yep. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. We're going to break it all down today, and I'm even going to have some fun with towards the end on the Grifta report. Going to show you, oh yeah, you know, Candace still in Russia. That's good stuff. But Dugan's connections maybe to Epstein and the Alex Jones history of predictions might not be as strong as everybody said it was. We're going to look at that. So good stuff ahead. So again, please hit that like, hit that subscribe. Thank you for watching. Expect trolls in the chat today. The chat, trolls always like to come out history when Trump's doing the best. So that's going to be fun to watch. But mods, get those buttons ready because you never know what we'll be seeing. All right. Let's say hey to the Chiz app before we get started, and then we'll get into it. Sheath777 holding it down on Rumble with Chrissy Katz and Mr. Baseball. Here on YouTube, we got Gray Fog, Shogun. I thought you couldn't show up when you're working, man. Did you take my advice and just let AI do all your accounting? Now you can watch? Little Bookfoot, Overlanding, Dadbot Todd, Rum Dog, Donna, Motley Cruel, what's up? Jesus Saves, Kika, Cass Sink, let's see, Tammy Anderson, Rafe, Greg Slotten, Pat M, Armand Alafonte, making it to the party, LED, George Papa Nicola, Come Take 'em, what's up? We got Brian House, Mark R. is here. Michael Boyle, Lisa Doxy, Mark Maddox, John M. Dowg, Anita Farron. How we doing today? Susan's a road less traveled. Positive Friday. Amen. Right there. Doc No 7, Carnivore for Life, Daniel Lombardi, Katie Cat is in the house. Fernando, Wise Old Man Show, Punk Rock Hot Dog, Teresa M, Brian House, and many others coming in. Love it, guys. Thank you for watching. And, you know, next time maybe you come in a little earlier and you get the shout out. I can't do everybody. We'd be here all day. But I do my best to make sure I include as many of the community as possible. All right, guys, you know the rules in the chat. Keep it respectful. Keep it honorable. Even disagreements we can handle nicely. Otherwise, you get the ban. If you want to get my attention in between segments where I will do my best to get to your questions and comments, your disagreements, whatever it is, I will do my best to get to you, but please tag me so I can see it. And if I still miss it because the chat's going nuts, a super chat is always guaranteed to be read. It doesn't mean you have to super chat. I still read the chat to the best of my ability, but it is a guarantee that way, and you also can support the channel. All right. Thank you guys so much. Did I miss anything before we get moving? Snow Baby says, I listened to the opening theme song in your dad's new car. It's awesome. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. So much love for the theme song. I am so appreciative for that, guys. You guys, you know, my buddy put that together, and it's just been a huge hit. There are some people who don't like it. And I'm like, you know, I get it's not your kind of music. That's fine. But why you got to be a jerk about it? Rooster says, sound is great today. You know what? That's awesome to hear. Because you know why? Because I didn't change anything. I'm doing the exact same thing I've been doing. So I guess it's hit or miss. Who knows? Maybe it's YouTube. They like to mess with me. Let's see here. Looks like we already might have a possible troll. I'm watching you, buddy. I'm not going to shout you out to the mods yet. I'll let them see if they catch you if you keep going. Let's see. Papa Nicola says, I don't know if people don't see it. We're in a war between Islam and Christianity. Maybe to some extent. Yeah, I have thoughts on that, but not to get into them today. That's for another time. What do I think about Cali? Well, we're going to talk about that. You better believe it. It's coming. They are trying to steal that election. It is obvious, but I think it's being allowed to happen. And Trump, I think, is giving us a lot of keys into that. So I should make Spencer Pratt's Lego song. Make that my theme. Kika, looks like Benny pleaded on a video for Trump to get involved on the possible steal in the LA mayoral race. Oh, if you guys don't think Trump's going to get involved in some way, I don't know what to tell you. Punk Rock says no one works harder to undo the blackpilling anti-American. I don't know if I work the hardest, but I definitely show up the most, I think. I'm here every day, Monday through Friday at noon, and sometimes bonuses, So I do my best. Speaking of California, since that seems to be the hot topic, guess what, guys? I had it queued up first, so let's get into it, shall we? All right. As my family takes care of the dogs barking, we'll get into it right here. All right. Well, it's pretty obvious from anybody paying attention for more than 5 minutes that the California election is not on the up and up. It's very, very unfair to be the most generous and rigged to be the least generous. We're watching it in real time as this overperformance by Republicans, MAGA base, which is, nobody denies it. The Democrats were panicking on night one. Massive overperformance by Spencer Pratt and Steve Hilton, and scared them. But they're doing what they do, and they are going full on 2020 mode right here to screw this thing up. It is obvious, again, as anybody's watching, as these ballots keep coming in, makes no sense. Some of them, sometimes 3,000 at a time without any red votes. That's just impossible. It's infinitesimally possible, which makes it impossible. And anybody who knows how these numbers things work. So what are we to make of it? Well, we know what to make of it. However, here's the good part. Here's the good news. Sometimes you need it to be so egregious, it's obvious for the whole world. Now, Democrats, why would they even risk this? Because they can't afford to lose Cali. It's all they have left. The whole country is turning right. It's getting redder. We talk about this all the time. I've shown you guys the statistics and the trends. It's undeniable where the country is headed. If they lose California, they have no hope for the near future, for decades, quite honestly, because California is the most populous state, has the most representatives and the most electoral college votes. They cannot risk giving this one up. And so they are willing to do whatever it takes to hold on for dear life. And I'm telling you, the way they are doing this is so obvious. It tells you they are in full panic. And I have a feeling, based on what we're about to show right now, the Trump administration planned for this. And they're going to be using this going forward to get election integrity. Here's Trump from last night. Watch California, everybody. He's getting everybody's attention there. Our election process is as bad or worse than any third world country. The biggest difference is they count their votes much faster. They don't wait 7 days to tell you who won, rigging the election during each and every one of them. Americans are ashamed of what's happening. This is big. When do we ever get national attention on one state to this extreme? And this is with the mainstream media doing all they can to cover it up. Don't look over here. No big deal. This is normal. Meanwhile, Trump has got the entire world because he commands the mic. He's got the biggest bully pulpit in the world. He's got everybody watching in real time as this is happening. This is almost as big attention-wise as 2020. You're never going to get bigger than a presidential race, but the difference this time is that we've got 6 years of looking back, of evidence coming out, of being able to think about it, process it, watch 4 years of Biden being a zombie. Now, way more people believe our elections have problems than did in 2020. And then they had COVID as an excuse. What's the excuse now for all this late counting, for this weird ballots coming in late? There is none. So this, my friends, could be the key. This could be the thing that the straw that finally breaks the camel's back when it comes to election integrity, getting the people there. Here's Trump responded to this last night.
So it's no mail-in ballots. You see that's what's happening in California. They're rigging the election. Now, maybe we caught them, and maybe they won't be able to get away with it. They tried with me. They did it successfully the second time. The third time, we made it too big to rig. Too many votes. They couldn't do it. They can only go. They sort of gave up at about 9:07 where they got slaughtered with the votes that came in. So it's
Okay, I'm going to play this again because it's so good. But he outright is calling it rigging. That this is something that's going to send the Democrats in a tizzy, even the establishment Republicans. But the people are listening and watching. But he also said something very interesting here. Maybe we caught them.
now maybe we caught them, and maybe they won't be able to get away with it.
Maybe they won't get away with it. Why would he say that? Maybe? Why would you even say that if the answer is no? Californians, I think you guys should be having a whole big old dose of hope right now. A big old dose of white pilling, because Trump, this is a big deal to him. The next thing he said, which is so interesting, is that all 3 of his elections were rigged.
They tried with me. They did it successfully the second time.
He said they did it successfully the second time. That's very interesting.
The third time, we made it too big to rig. Too many votes. They couldn't do it. They can only go. They sort of gave up at about 9:07.
They gave up at 9:07. I love that, how he knows the exact moment they gave up. But anyways, the point is this is all signal. And it tells me, so much has been happening in this primary, okay? This midterm, it makes sense if you think about it. In the 2024 election, Trump was out of power. He was working his way back in, okay? So you can only do so much with 2024. Plus, we won. Plus, we got the House and the Senate. It's like it was such a shellacking that who's gonna care if he does anything about the 2024 election, is investigating that. No, everybody's going to be like, what, dude, you won. Stop it. 2020, that's 6 years ago now. A lot of people still want to see it, like me, you, but there's also a lot of people who just don't care. They're like, dude, you know, whatever. You still got back. It worked out. It's fine. Okay, but now in real time, this midterms, which is getting the most attention of any midterms I can ever remember. Midterm elections are usually only for the hardcore people. They're not for the regular people. The regular people tune out during the midterms. They only show up for presidential elections. Not this year. And meanwhile, in the primaries, he's cleaning up the Republican Party, just wiping them out. Rhino's gone left and right. And now we get this, what I think is going to ultimately be a gift of California doing exactly what happened in 2020, but in real time when everybody's watching it. And Trump letting it be known. Maybe we caught him, maybe we didn't. But actually, he didn't even say maybe we didn't. He said maybe we caught him, maybe they won't get away with it. That's impressive. Now, here's an example of just how bad it is. Watch this.
Some suggest it could be weeks to come. But here's where we are right now in the governor's race. Steve Hilton still in the #1 poll position here. Leads Javier Becerra by 1.1 percentage points, roughly 63,500 votes now. Tom Steyer, #3, came up since this time yesterday, came up slightly, up from 19.8 to 20.2. Now you start to think there are more than 3 candidates in California. 60% of the votes been counted, so several million votes still out there. I'm going to go to a second panel here because I think there were 60 total candidates, 60 candidates for governor. Chad Bianco's a Republican, sheriff, right? Katie Porter's a Democrat. You start to think now, if the finish between Steyer and Steve Hilton is that close, you start to think that these votes right here, 628,000 for Bianco, 255,000 currently for Katie Porter. If you were to put those votes into Becerra's pile or Steyer's pile or Hilton's pile, maybe in a couple of days or weeks, whenever they decide to call this thing, maybe those votes really start to matter. You know, on that second page, those candidates are out of it. But nonetheless, they still attracted votes, and some of those votes could have been used in other areas.
I don't think they're going to be able to get Hilton out. I don't think so. I think his lead's too much. But Pratt, that's another story.
You just wonder, like, if it is razor thin, what is the difference there in the end? Here's the mayor's race now. 64% of the votes been counted. Again, Karen Bass has advanced to the runoff. So we're waiting right now on what happens with Spencer Pratt. Ticked a bit lower overnight. Nithya Raman, the progressive, ticked a bit higher. So these two really are in a battle. And some observers believe that Raman is not out of this because a lot of the vote that comes in late tends to come from more Democratic circles here in Hollywood, L.A., and East L.A. So that's where we stand right now.
Yep, breaking it down as what they're trying to pull off here. But with all that's going on, all this late votes that are all trending Democrat, of course they are, we got United States Attorney coming out saying protecting the integrity of California's elections is a top priority for my office. Again, we have Trump calling it out, and now we got the U.S. Attorney saying I have a focus on this. California's election system has serious structural vulnerabilities. Universal vote by mail with no voter ID requirements creates conditions where fraud can go undetected and unpunishable, eroding public confidence without commenting on any specific investigation, which means there are specific investigations going on. My office has multiple election fraud investigations underway in connection with FBI Los Angeles. Oh, Kash Patel. We'll follow the evidence wherever it leads and prosecute any violations of federal election law to the fullest extent. Guess what? We might be getting the Supreme Court weighing in here in just a week or two with 12 decisions they still have to release this month, and one of them could be the mail-in ballots coming in late, eradicating that, which means now it's federal election law, which means prosecution of California. I'm telling you guys, this is being allowed to happen so that we can move forward on this. It's just, I feel like it's very obvious. My office is working closely with AG Dillon to conduct a comprehensive audit of California's voter rolls. State has stonewalled every effort to verify only eligible U.S. citizens registered. Case is now before the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeal, which means if they don't do it, it'll go to Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court will allow it. My office will not look the other way. We'll investigate and prosecute. Every legal vote deserves to be counted. Every illegal vote cancels one out. So that should give you guys some hope. Now, with all this going on in California and being the perfect opportunity to start cleaning up elections as everybody's watching, Trump just scored a massive win towards the midterms, and that was today's job numbers. Today we got the best jobs day of President Trump's second term so far. For the third month in a row, job growth blew away expectations. Listen to these numbers. 172,000, more than double the expectations. My friends, that is a boom. And I feel like I remember telling you guys between Q2 and Q3, we'd start seeing the economic data turning around thanks to the One Big Beautiful Bill and deregulation. And here we are. It's starting. This is the beginning. It's only going to get better from here, especially once Iran's finished and gas prices go down. This is the beginning. And before long, these benefits of all this is starting to come trickle down to your wallets, your pricing, your paychecks, all that good stuff. And on top of this, Bureau of Labor Statistics revised March and April upwards by 93,000. You guys remember the beautiful Biden years where every time it was a downward revision? Now we're revising upwards by almost 100,000 over March and April. The economy is better than they want you to believe. It's nonstop dooming about the economy, but guys, it's getting to the point where it's going to be so overwhelming, they're not going to be able to hide anymore. Of note, every single Bloomberg economist, 75 for 75, underestimated May. Of course they did. They're all narrative people. They don't actually care about the numbers. They're not real economists. They're media personalities. They're media people. They're trying to bend a narrative that you guys and me and everybody else believes the economy sucks. Well, I get that some of us are struggling. That's not the point. The point is the turnaround is starting, and the companies are showing you that because they are doing so well, they're upping hiring. Now, let's listen to some of the breakdowns here.
Data is out, the Maine jobs report. 172,000. Is there any doubt that this anecdotal evidence about a good labor market has been very correct? That is a really strong number. And last month, well, we had a revision from 115,000 to 179,000, which means the 2-month revision has got to be over 90,000. That is a good number. Even manufacturing posted a 7,000 job gain. So how strong is 172,000? That would be the best number since 185,000 in March. These are solid numbers. If we look at what's going on with average hourly earnings come in at 3/10 as expected. If data is out,
so our average hourly earnings are going up as well. Here's another quick breakdown.
Just look at the overall economy. So we've got rising wages in this country today. We have a construction and manufacturing. Those numbers on construction and manufacturing in terms of productivity are incredible. You've got blowout numbers on the stock market. You report every day. We are blowing away the rest of the world.
So with all this happening, guys, this, by the way, this is all Americans getting these jobs. And not only that, government's continuing to contract, which I will we'll talk about in a second here. But I do want to stress something. Nobody talks about this, and so I'm just going to add it in here, that this is going to, at first, mostly benefit red states because the red states are more business friendly. So if you're in a blue state, you might be wondering, I'm not seeing any of this yet. I get it. I'm sorry. That's because you're governors and because you're run by retarded Democrats. So I'm sorry. It's going to be a little slower to get to you guys. But the point is the trend, okay, the rising tide eventually lifts all boats. So it's only a matter of time before this starts impacting everywhere. Red states will get the feel first. Texas, Florida, South Carolina. The redder the better. The redder the better. The tide will lift you faster. The blue states are a lot heavier to pull, but it will come along. Here's a quick on Kevin Hassett breaking down what's going on in these job numbers.
I'm not an economist, but with this crackdown on immigration, does that have an effect on the jobs number?
You know, what it does is it makes it so that native-born workers are getting more of the jobs. And so there are a lot of folks, critics of the president, that said that we're not going to be able to continue to have positive jobs numbers because the crackdown on immigration is going to mean that we don't have enough workers. But the numbers that are coming in are showing that wages are going up. So we're not getting low-wage immigrants. We're getting high-wage, native-born workers coming back to the workforce. And they're coming in droves, as you can see, with the numbers, way north of 100,000 jobs month after month. And it's the opposite of the story, the immigration story that the left told us.
So during the Biden years, all of these jobs went to people who were either illegal or government workers. It was all a show. They spent all that money, trillions and trillions of dollars. The Republicans, including Thomas Massie, helped Biden spend more money in 4 years than any other president in history, just shoveling out that dough. And a lot of it went to government jobs, part-time jobs, and illegals. And that was juicing the numbers so they could lie that the economy was better than it was. The Trump administration has had to deal with this, which has made their numbers look lower by comparison to start because they were weeding it out. We now have government jobs contracting again for, I believe, the 15th month in a row. They're down, which is wonderful, right? I mean, we want that. We want to see those job numbers go down in the government. The government gets smaller. All private sector. Private sector is better long term. It's better for the economy in general because it's actual real money being spent and used. It's not just inflationary spending, just pumping, juicing stuff up. And government jobs, like, I mean, you take a government job because You just want long-term security, but you're not dynamic. It's just bad for the economy. It's a socialist, semi-socialist pull when the government's bigger. The Trump administration is pulling all this off. People aren't talking about it very much because guess what? Gas prices are high. There's no getting around that. Gas prices being high makes food higher. Absolutely. That sucks. We haven't seen the massive boost yet in the turnaround of the economy. But again, the preliminary numbers are always start like this because companies make their decisions based on data right away. That's how they start. They start seeing what's coming in. They're like, okay, projections, we're going to make decisions based on these projections. They have to try to make decisions ahead of time. Whereas you and me, we make our decisions when the money comes in. That's the big difference right there. So these are all leading indicators. Now, just in case you forgot, Scott Bessent is here to remind us who got us here in the first place. And I'll be honest with you guys, I just wanted to play this clip, so I found a way to squeeze it in.
My career in the financial sector, and 45% of our small and community banks disappeared since the great financial crisis. Senator Warren likes to say, ooh, we might have a bank failure. She killed 45% of the small banks.
I think the Trump administration is rightly focused on creating the conditions.
Bessent, he's just a monster. And Elizabeth Warren was going after him about killing banks, and he just reminded her she's the reason they killed 45% of them with their banking stuff from the great financial crisis, which 2008, they used that to usher in, and the 2009 crash led to the 2009 legislation, which led to our economy being rejiggered completely into just a financial economy, which means low-wage workers stay low, those with assets grow like crazy, and so it divides the country. Wage disparity grows exponentially. The middle class is completely weeded out, and it created where we're at now. Just in case you forgot, this all happened on Democrats' watch for the most part, and yeah, a little establishment Republican you could throw in there as well. Not nearly as bad, but still there. Now, with all this going on, Trump signed a massive executive order last night invoking the Defense Production Act. Now, this was created during World War II so that the United States, in times of emergency, could jump in and overtake factories, manufacturing, energy sector to boost production, to help it out. Trump has now invoked it to save 13 coal plants across 10 states. These coal plants were being shut down because of environmentalism, climate change, bad policies by the left, which is on purpose to ruin our energy supply, kill our prices, discourage us, ruin our economy. And the Trump administration just said, enough, we're taking it over. Biden tried to close these plants. And then here's what Trump had to say about it.
Today we're officially invoking the Defense Production Act to save 13 coal plants in West Virginia, Kentucky, North Carolina, Indiana, Tennessee, Arizona, Arkansas, Oklahoma, North Dakota, and Wisconsin. These were incredible plants, so productive, really producing a lot of the electricity, right? The electricity, and it's really the best at that. You know, when they find something better, Chris, I think we'll be all set for it, right? But they're a long ways from finding something better.
Cost critical.
And so when you look at that, those states, West Virginia, Kentucky, North Carolina, Indiana, Tennessee, Arizona, Arkansas, Oklahoma, North Dakota, Wisconsin, what do they all have in common? Trump won them. I won every one of them by a lot, right?
Yeah.
I'm not even mentioning Pennsylvania, which we won also, right?
Yes.
But we won them all. We won all 50. We had an honest count, if you want to know the truth. Our action will allow these facilities to invest in upgrades that will extend their operational lives for decades into the future, reinforce the reliability of our electric grid, which is really the biggest beneficiary, and most importantly, keep electricity prices very low for the American people.
There it is. See, this is the kind of thing that just, drives me nuts when people say Trump isn't doing anything. Dude, again, for everybody who needs to hear it again, economic policy, once instituted, still takes time to play out, usually 18 to 24 months. It's miraculous that Trump hasn't even been in office for 2 years yet, not even a year and a half yet, and we're already seeing a turnaround. That tells you that his economic policies are stronger than everybody else's. Reagan's took 18 to 24 months in different sectors. And Reagan was the strongest economic president we've had of the last 60 years before Trump. Trump's policies are so good that it's moving faster. This is incredible stuff, and it will start to impact everything because Trump's being he's doing all of it. And here's another massive one. If you're looking for energy prices to start going down, today, an advanced non-light water nuclear reactor reached criticality in the United States for the first time in more than 40 years. Trump's unleashing American nuclear renaissance. This was made possible. That is the cheapest, cleanest energy in the world is nuclear energy. Nuclear energy is the cheapest and cleanest in the world. If we ramp this up, just wait. Your electric bills will get cut in half in the next 4 to 5 years as all this starts ramping up. It will start trickling lower, and then it'll be way lower. Trump's ending this stupid climate change kind of clean energy proposals they all pushed on us that ramped up all of our energy bills. And here is a little breakdown understanding what criticality does. America's rebuilding sovereign energy from the core outward, advanced reactors, decentralized baseload power, AI infrastructure, defense grids, manufacturing, national resilience, all fused in one stack. Criticality is not just a reactor milestone. It marks the return of long horizon American energy sovereignty. It's not just oil, guys. He's doing all of it. All of it. And that will have cheap energy means everything else is cheaper. Cheap energy leads to cheaper food. Cheap energy leads to cheaper goods. Cheap energy leads to cheaper tech. You name it, everything gets cheaper with energy. And on top of that, things get cheaper with less government intervention. So Trump's cut taxes, he's cut regulations, he's ramping up energy. Every economist worth 5 cents knows this to be true. And so every economist who's predicting doom and gloom with what Trump's doing is an idiot or they're lying. It's just the facts. I'm not even an economist. I have a very basic understanding of this stuff compared to most, and I can see it. Everybody worth their salt can see it, and it's that simple. Less government intervention and cheaper energy leads to cheaper prices, more jobs, everything. And Trump is doing that in the most important ways possible. So with all these wins Trump's getting, with all this changing, the jobs numbers starting to come in, we're starting to tighten up the elections. Trump's got that handled heading into the midterms. I think we're going to get massive news on the elections in the next month. I think we're going to get massive changes because the Supreme Court and then whatever Tulsi Gabbard's going to release and whatever the Trump administration is doing, just the next 30 to 60 days, I think there's going to be big movement on elections. So you get that. You got the economy starting to turn around. Q2, just as predicted. And then we got the Democrats. It's just getting worse for them. You have Graham Platner last night. There's a New York Times expose came out, and the stuff in this story is crazy. But here's just one little blip. The woman reported that who he cheated on, who he hit, all this other terrible stuff reports. He said this a lot. If anybody ever broke in here, I would rape them. Saying he added it would not be in a sexual way, not in a gay way. I would rape them to show them I'm dominant. Yeah, that's a great little quote to be passed around. As Dave Rubin says, Platner was down to rape a dude, just not in a gay way. Happy Pride Month. This guy is the gift that keeps on giving to the Republicans. And as a reminder, like we're going back in time, Ro Khanna, who is about to go to Maine to campaign with this man who is pushing all of his values out the door, an old post is resurfacing of his from 2018. I believe Christine Blasey Ford, which is the one going after what's his face in the Supreme Court. I believe Deborah Ramirez. I believe Anita Hill. She went after Clarence Thomas. Brett Kavanaugh should not be on the Supreme Court, and yet he doesn't. He's proud of Graham Platner. These people are such frauds, man. Let's recap. Graham Platner blamed rape victims. Take responsibility. Don't get so effed up. Asked, why don't black people tip? Called rural Maine voters racist and stupid. Supported ACAB and said F the cops. Called himself a communist. Pushed armed political violence. Got a Nazi SS-style skull tattoo. Sent dirty texts to women while married and has a kick profile. Mocked a wounded Purple Heart soldier as a dumb MFer who doesn't deserve to live, and called Army soldiers fat, lazy trash. Bragged he'd rape a man breaking into his ex-girlfriend's apartment. I'd rape them to show him I'm dominant. Yeah, this guy, I mean, if you ever started believing the Democrats were somehow morally superior, better, any trolls watching this right now waiting to jump in and bash on Trump, hey, this is your guy. This is your man. Yeah, you own him now. Good luck with that. And it's having an effect. It's having an effect. The congressional ballot, we got another poll. Remember the last two I shared with you? Marquette and Harvard had it within 1 and 2 points. Well, this poll has also shifted. Now it's down, this Rasmussen. Now it's down to 4, which they need it to be 5 to 6 to win. 4 is the baseline. At 4, it's a toss-up. This is terrible news for them. Where's that blue wave? Where's that blue wave? And along with this, just a reminder where the trends are going. The trend continues that future after this midterm is going to get worse and worse for them as we're getting more and more birth data. In 2026, the share of non-Hispanic white births is higher than in 2020 and just under 2019. We're starting to have babies again, folks, and the immigrants are being pushed out. This is going to completely change the dynamic going forward. So anybody dooming about the trend of the country right now, stop it. Just stop it. Everything is starting to correct. It takes time, but what we've seen in just 16 months of the Trump 2.0 administration is already miraculous. And this is the foundations being laid. Just wait till we hit the momentum of the final 2 years. It's going to be awesome. It's just, market 8, dude. I'm making the prediction right now. You guys can come at me in a year or two if I'm wrong. All right, please hit that like, hit that subscribe. Hope you guys are getting encouraged and white-pilled as you're watching. But let me get into the chat, make sure I'm not missing anything. Let's see here. I did have a super chat came in from Job for 9, $5 super chat. Thank you very much, sir. It says Cali is red and kept blue via cheating. I'm glad this is happening to show everyone how bad our elections truly are. Amen, friend. Absolutely. Completely agree with you. Let's see. We have Bev Miller says, my daughter had 3 kids in 5 years. Good for her. She's doing the work. Let's see. D34 says, not so easy to crop out 1 million kids when our tax dollars aren't being stolen, given to the illegal parents. Amen. Amen. Rum talk, it is a strangely specific reason, isn't it? That's hilarious. Brian's house says Platner is a plant. He's a silver spoon kid cosplaying commie revolutionary. It depends on what you mean by plant, whether or not I'd agree with you. I'll say this: he's what the left wants, and so I would go even further than that. I actually believe that he is the symptom of the problem of the far left. And I think the Democrats are panicking because he's not a plant. He is he's them having to reconcile with their own issues because, they liked to pretend they were moderate for years and years and years while slowly running this country far left and running us into the ground. But they know they have to, as long as they couldn't fully steal elections, they were, they rigged a lot, but they couldn't steal everything yet. They had to pretend to be moderate to get votes. And this guy scares them because he's quite obviously a psychopath. And that's them having to deal with the base that they created and allowed to grow. So, let's see. Violence of Poetry asked me, does Ro Khanna believe Juanita Broderick or the ladies said Biden assaulted her? Of course he doesn't, because that's for left-wingers, and they never believe it when it's their own. They never do. Why would they? They're all about power. That's all they care about. All they care about is power. What's going on with Ro Khanna's insider trading investigation? I don't know. We probably won't know until something comes out, So Dems should be forced to bicycle everywhere. I like that. I do have 3 more big segments coming up, guys. So, just know that the show is nowhere close to over. But got a lot of fun stuff coming up, too. You can make gasoline from coal. I didn't know that. That's interesting. Rumdog says, can't Trump make refineries able to process our oil here using Wartime Act? He could, theoretically, he could build up to the point where he could take them over for national security purposes. And I do think there'd have to be an investment in order to change them to do our oil here. And I think he's waiting on that in case he absolutely feels he needs to do it. But I want to be surprised if it happens in California first. That's what I think we might see first. Dooming is dumbing. I like that. I like that very much. Dems have long cared about being the prestigious party comprising the affluent, wealthy, and credentialed. Yes. Well, that is true, because they used to play as the working class party, right? And then they fully embrace being the elite party. And they're realizing, that's a problem, because now they bring in their working class people are the crazy ones. And it doesn't work well for them. All right, let's get into it. There's a lot more going on here. So let's go back to what the Trump administration is pulling off from a Justice Department, recorrecting a lot of the wrongs in America. It's building up at a rapid pace. And with everything going on in California, here's Trump giving us a little bit more insight into what they're looking at here, but he's outright calling it out again.
Just don't want cheating in our elections. And you see it happening in California. Those numbers are coming down rapidly. They found a lot of mail-in ballots last night, shockingly. So we don't want that. Then we added best of. This is best of Trump. No men in women's sports. No transgender mutilization surgery for our children. I would say that's pretty close to 99-1 off.
He's talking about the SAVE Act, getting the Save America Act through, which they just did vote on, and it got 50-50 in the Senate, which means it could be passed if there was no filibuster. Unfortunately, there is a filibuster, and they won't do a talking filibuster because John Thune keeps holding it up. But the actual vote coming in at 50 votes proves we can get this done, which we're that much closer. So let's see where that proceeds. But in the meantime, we have Trump's executive order being held up in court. We have what the Supreme Court's about to do. We have the striking down of the VRA. We have laws in place that are being violated that the Trump administration is actively watching. And so elections are already in a better trend coming this midterms and forward than they've been in the past. And if the Save America Act kicks in, you're looking at eliminating 90 to 95% of the fraud. Now, while Trump's focused on elections, he threw the wrench of Bill Pulte in. And now the Bill Pulte, as I covered the other day, got all the establishment people, all the deep staters panicking, going nuts, trying to block it, which we've never, ever seen. An appointment by a president, an interim appointment by a president as an acting attorney general, as an acting secretary of any cabinet. We've never seen pushback like we're seeing with Pulte. And it makes you wonder why. It really has nothing to do with his credentials, being that they already confirmed him. So why? Well, it's getting so bad now that the Senate is blocking the procedural vote to renew FISA. Well, guess what? We don't like FISA. MAGA doesn't like FISA, and Trump knows it. Now, one of the big criticisms of Trump by people in our sphere has been, why does he keep allowing FISA to go? He even tweeted earlier this year, let's get FISA passed again with the reforms, and a lot of people were upset about it. But did Trump know that, is he just playing 5D, 6D chess again? I added the 6 because he can't get anything done with the Senate, with the House, if he comes out against FISA. But maybe he threw the wrench of Pulte in to hurt FISA anyways. Because this is very interesting. GOPers, which is mostly MAGA GOPers, Tuberville, Rick Scott, Rand Paul always votes against it, Eric Schmidt, Mike Lee, Hawley, and Kennedy voted against FISA right now. Isn't that interesting? These are more of the MAGA, or at least conservative senators. The installation of Bill Pulte as acting DNI torched the bipartisan deal on FISA. The GOP needs Dem help on this, but Pulte blew that up as Dems aren't willing to help. Current FISA authorization expires in a little more than a week. Interesting, isn't it? Was this part of the plan? Is this one way that Trump can get rid of FISA and bring something else in that's better and not as egregiously against our rights? Ever since FISA has been passed, it's been very controversial. Is this the way to finally let it run out? I don't know, but it's very interesting how the Pulte thing just has them in such crazy panic. So we've also had Trump come out last night and say that Pulte is he's going to be temporary. In other words, Trump already knows he can't get him through, but he's completely okay with him being in there for a temporary season, and he mentioned in it elections. Well, Pulte has all access to all the mortgage information, all the fraud, lots of money being pushed around. They've used houses in the past. We saw with Letitia James in order to launder money. She hasn't been busted on that yet, but they're working on it. What does Pulte know, and why put him in there? It's very interesting how this is all playing out, and we'll have to keep following it closely. Now, with all that going on, JD continues to hamper down on the fraud. And he says, if the fraud rate's really as low as Democrats claim, why are they fighting so hard to hide the data? Why not just work with USDA to audit and validate where the money is going? The resistance to us going after fraud is part of why these programs ballooned in the first place. Now, this is a crazy quote right here. USDA has never had access to state SNAP data. Listen to this.
Terry, do you know what the SNAP fraud rate actually is according to the most recent estimates from USDA? The fraud rate.
Well, that is based on data we're receiving from the states that we can't verify. That's the whole point of this, is we have no ability to verify California, Minnesota, where the fraud has been
reclaiming my time. It was 1.6% according to USDA.
Your state is saying we only have 1.6% fraud rate, which we all know is an absolute joke.
I'll say it again. You understand the difference between error rates and fraud rates. I honestly don't. It is one of the lowest fraud rate in any program in America is the SNAP program.
The lowest fraud rate of any program in America is the SNAP program? You can't be serious when you say that.
Your own data says 1.6%.
Again, that's because the states, your state has told us that number,
once more.
And you won't allow us to confirm it.
How crazy is that? You know, they just made most people reapply for SNAP, and you know how many fell off? 4.3 million decided not to even reapply. Now that, my friends, doesn't happen if you have a program that's not fraudulent. I'm sorry, just doesn't happen. But you know, it keeps going. Here's what the fraudster's been doing. Again, from J.D. Vance, fraudsters stole your tax dollars to buy exotic and luxury cars. But now time's up. Proud of our task force for all the work being done to hold criminals accountable. Look at some of the cars. This is from the Southern District of Ohio. 470,014 luxury cars have already been seized. These people are just chilling in these cars, man. Lexuses, Ferraris. I mean, look, it's wild. It's absolutely wild. Beamers, man, they love them their fraud and what it's been buying them. This is what your tax dollars have been doing for a lot of illegals. And if that doesn't enrage you, I don't know what to tell you. This is crazy, but the Trump administration is putting it in front of us like we've never seen before, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing. So while JD's cleaned up the fraud, Pulte's got them all freaking out. We got John Solomon reporting this about the conspiracy and what's going on with the grand jury.
If you saw a grand jury subpoena to former President Barack Obama, I think there will be a need to summon him based on some of the evidence that's now public or about to become public. We've done a lot of talking about him, and he can't be indicted most likely, which also means he can't claim the Fifth Amendment. And I would keep an eye on that dynamic. I also think that there is big new documents being found in the last few days inside the FBI, the Justice Department, and inside the intelligence communities that go all the way back to the origins of Crossfire Hurricane, all the way up to and including Jack Smith. And I think there's going to be some pretty big revelations with that. And so you'll have information coming out, and then that information immediately being digested into a accountability prosecution team down here in Florida. And so the one takeaway I had from just doing a lot of reporting this week is that I think the grand jury is going to need to hear from Barack Obama to understand some of the things that happened on his watch. And
very interesting. It's ramping up. Here's a little more from Solomon on this.
They raided Donald Trump's home because they had to cover up what happened all the way back to 2015 and 16. That's what that grand
that's what the
Hillary.
So they did these things. So there's an intel, there's a portion of the intel, CIA, FBI, whoever they are, the Department of Justice, wherever they came from.
That's right.
But they're acting on behalf of whom?
I'm going to say Barack Obama is the head of the conspiracy when they're done. He'll be an unindicted co-conspirator if they get all the evidence that they think they're going to get from the agencies. Why? We know he was told Hillary Clinton in July was hanging a fake Russian signal. He allowed his administration to pursue a case. After the election, he was told that Vladimir Putin didn't interfere in the election to help Donald Trump, and he got it reversed and had it, even though the intelligence committee didn't agree, they changed it. On January 5th of 2017, 15 days before Donald Trump was in office, about to come into office the first time, they sat in a room and said, hey, the FBI has concluded Mike Flynn is an innocent man. How can we make him a guilty man? The president sat in that meeting with the FBI. He didn't belong in a meeting like that. Barack Obama set in motion. Now, was he trying to help Hillary Clinton win the election? Of course. Where this all ends, I think I would not be surprised if before the end of the summer you saw Barack Obama get a grand jury subpoena. I would not be surprised.
Before the end of the summer. Now, Solomon is, I think, a great reporter overall. His projections aren't always 100% right, and that's not his fault. Okay, you can only predict so much with the information you have. But I think Solomon, I think the Trump administration purposely leaks to Solomon sometimes. I really do, because that way he can come out and say, prepare the people for what's coming. He nailed it last summer with a lot of the stuff coming out from Tulsi. And I think, again, he's getting information from Tulsi, knowing she's about to drop stuff on her way out. And then you got the Pulte thing coming in, which again is got a lot of panic in DC over that. So Obama obviously is now becoming, it's becoming a big deal. And by spreading this out to the people, you're going to start getting the demand for it. We want to know what happened. We want to see more. That's going to put pressure on the investigators, on the juries to push for this. And it must be getting really interesting in that grand jury what they're seeing if they're starting to head in that direction. I don't know, but I'm telling you guys that we are so close to seeing something big happening, and we're so far away from knowing everything that happened, because it's going to start coming out in greater. We can all theorize based on what we already have, but I'm telling you, I think it's going to be much worse once we find out everything, and that excites me. But I think it's about to drop. It really does look like that, because all this is starting to ramp up, and usually where there's smoke, there's fire, especially around conspiracy stuff like this. Now, all that's going on, so the Trump administration handling the fraud, going after the elections, going after conspiracy, and ICE is continuing to ramp up deportations, and the Trump administration continues to show they're willing to do what it takes to get rid of these people in different ways. We just had a confirmation that the employers of 48 illegal immigrants in South Carolina, so they're starting to go after the employers. This is something people have been calling for a long time. Here's a real quick clip on this. It's a South Carolina too, a red state.
It's everywhere. I got an escort out this bit. Black trucks. I get escort, gang.
Thank Trump, he says. But they got a plant manager and an HR coordinator, which the HR coordinator, they're starting to go after a lot of these people because they spill the goods on the owners, on the managers. So this is a good sign, guys. This is a good sign. Again, this is the kind of stuff we don't get. We don't get a lot of news on. Now, DHS has just proposed a new rule to limit work authorization of lawful migrants and illegals. This rule will restrict renewal with an E-Verify requirement, suggests aliens with criminal history will be denied. Duration will be capped, and biometric data is mandatory. This proposed rule should be able to go through without having to go through the Senate, because it's bureaucracy. It can go through the regulatory process, which is excellent. Just keep passing more of this, because if you take away their ability to work under the table for free, or well, not for free, but low wages, under the table, off the books, you take away their ability to bank, which the Trump administration just passed that executive order. You take away their ability to send money back home, which they've already taxed that, so that can't happen as much anymore. You're eliminating all the reasons to stay. No more benefits, cracking down on the fraud. This is how you get rid of most of them. It just is, because we don't have the manpower. People get mad like, Trump isn't deporting enough. At this rate, they'll never all be all gone. I hear it all the time. We don't have the manpower to get rid of 20, 30, 40 million people. You don't have the manpower for that. Good luck figuring that out. It just isn't possible to do in 4 years. So stop whining about it. And plus, what the Trump administration is doing is very smart. Instead of going after, most of the people who are like in the communities with, waiters, waitresses, the people that even conservatives will know and be like, yeah, I want everybody deported, but I kind of like this guy. Instead of bringing ICE agents in, making a big deal about it and pissing everybody off like Bovino was doing in Minneapolis, which Homan came in and put a stop to, and now guess what? We're not getting all this news coverage on these deportations anymore. Instead of doing that, they're creating a toxic environment for being illegal. Whereas if you come in, you don't want to stay. There's no reason to anymore. All the benefits are gone. It's becoming very hard to make a living here illegally. And that is how you get them to self-deport, which self-deportations are happening at 4-to-1, 5-to-1 clip. The latest numbers are we're almost at, I think, 1 million deported and almost 3-4 million self-deported. That's massive. In year one, it was 2.5 million self-deported to 500,000 deported. So it obviously works better that way. Have them deport themselves because it's so awful to be here. And now here, Cato Institute just did a tracking of these immigration efforts and says, to their horror and our delight, Cato is pretty left-wing, they found Trump's taking a blowtorch to legal immigration as well. Look at this. Asylum seekers entering legally fell 99.9%. And you know who he's been allowing to come in? White South Africans. People who are actually westernized. People who actually fill in. Refugees entering legally from abroad fell by 90%. Immigrant visas for permanent residents fell by 50%. Trump's $100,000 fee likely cut out H-1B visas by 25%. These are massive numbers. And you add to that what's being deported. Guys, our country, by the time Trump leaves in 2028, or actually the third week of 2029, and our new president comes in, J.D. Vance or Rubio, our country will already be looking significantly different. Because of all this, we're talking about, at the current rate, 12 to 15 million illegals being gone, maybe more, maybe up to 20 if this really ramps up. As they keep cracking down on their finances, making it harder to live here, more might leave. So we could go anywhere from 12 to 20 million gone. On top of that, you have far less legal ones here. We start getting our culture back. This is happening. What Trump's doing is incredible. It's miraculous. No other president's even tried to do this in the last 100+ years. Not even tried. So this is just another way of reforming our country. And, while doing this, again, they just keep doing so much. The Senate, thanks to Josh Hawley and others, just passed this, the pedophile, the pedos in charge, the Epstein class, which is what they're trying to paint MAGA as, a Trump as. Well, this Senate just passed legislation to rescue thousands of children trapped in sex trafficking. 200 new law enforcement officers just to find kids and rescue kids. The biggest surge against child trafficking ever by the federal government. So now all it's got to do is pass the House, which it will, and be signed by Trump. And all of a sudden we got trafficking down to its lowest rates, which is already happening thanks to the FBI. I thought this was the pedo class. No, that was the Biden administration. That was the Obama administration, bringing in all these kids from across the border and allowing them to be trafficked. That is now being cracked down on. So while they're doing all that, the government, even though we're getting new officers, this is the government rate of bureaucrats going 17 straight month of decline, just falling off a cliff here under Trump, getting rid of the filth in the government, which I love so much. And now we got Blanche telling us that he's a plan for the future to also kind of proof the DOJ just in case a Democrat does go in. Listen to this.
Last question to you about the future. You said this week that you believe President Trump absolutely faced prison if he hadn't won the election in 2024. Democrats have been talking a lot about what they call Project 2029, their plans to prosecute the president, administration officials, ICE agents after the term is up if they regain power either on Capitol Hill or in the White House. Do you believe that's a possibility? And what can be done to prevent this kind of political retribution from Democrats?
Well, do I believe it's a possibility that the Democrats will go after President Trump, his family, anybody that knows him, anybody that worked for him? I think they've proven that to be true. And what can we do about it is we can...
In case you don't know, Blanche was Trump's lawyer fighting a lot of this stuff when they were going after Trump in 22 and 23. So just FYI.
Just keep on exposing. When we learn about the weaponization that happened for many years, we can keep on exposing it and putting putting roadblocks in place so it never happens again. I don't worry about, for myself, what happens in the future. I worry about this country. I worry about Democrats, some Democrats coming out and actually already forecasting what they're going to try to do if they get leadership again, and that's something the American people see too. The American people saw them do it for 4 years and rejected it wholeheartedly. I was in the Oval Office last night with President Trump. Okay, so that effort failed, and so I think that I would hope the Democrats would be a little smarter. They have so far proven themselves not to be, but it doesn't affect the work that we do.
All right.
So very interesting, right? Todd Blanche, man, he's crushing it. But him and Cash putting in roadblocks for future Democrats because they know, and I don't think it'll happen, but you prepare. I think there's a 10% chance Democrats win in 28. They that means getting the president, getting the Justice Department back. I think it's a 10% chance, and I really don't see it happening. But you prepare, and it's really interesting how they're looking ahead like that. But what I think they're doing is they're weeding out so much of it right now. They're getting rid of so many of the bad bureaucrats that the Democrats, if they want to have a chance to go after Trump when they come back in, they're going to have to restructure the whole thing, which could take years. That's one thing we're seeing right now is this purging going on. And that goes back to this. Just there's a purging going on in the government right now, getting rid of the bureaucrats, getting rid of the people who aren't elected, who are hired and can stay on forever. And I think that's a big part of it. So guys, when you look at all of this, elections, they're working on cleaning them up. You look at the fraud being cleaned up and exposed. You look at the illegal immigration, all trending in the right direction, and legal immigration trending in the right direction. You look at the ramping up of exposing the conspiracy and actually getting the grand juries on. How can anybody say the Trump administration is not fulfilling their promises? Because I'll tell you what, there's one thing between it's one thing to just go like, okay, we're coming in and arresting everybody, and then good luck, it all falls apart in court. Our system doesn't, allow it to work. It just all falls apart. And then there's another thing for actually getting everything in order and doing it the right way so it lasts. And that, my friends, we just looked at 4 aspects of justice and promises being kept that the Trump administration is overperforming on. And because of the good work they're doing, the results are just a matter of time. And so for me, I'm very excited about what's happening, and I'm very happy with where we're at. All right. If you guys don't mind, hit that like, hit that subscribe. Next, you guys don't want to miss it, the Grifter Report. We're going to have some fun today, especially with the expense of Candace Owens and Alex Jones. But I see a couple super chats. Mr. Bedhead with the $5 super chat says Duffy needs to take away the ability of illegals to buy newer used vehicles. That's interesting. I don't know if they don't. Can you even register one? Because you can't. If you got cash, you could always buy a vehicle anywhere. But registering it, that's the real question. And so I don't know if that's even allowed. But that is an interesting thought. And also, I don't know if the transportation secretary would be in charge of that. That might be a Treasury Department, but who knows? That's an interesting thought. Let's see here. Anybody else tag me on anything? We got MFN Tango. Welcome to the membership here on YouTube. You now have full access to the members lives. Thank you very much for joining and supporting the channel. Also, for everybody else, if you're wondering how you can become a part of this amazing community on a deeper level, this amazing chat, these people in here, you can join the Discord by joining the Patreon. So the Patreon link is in the description below here on Rumble and YouTube. It's on my pinned post on X. You can click that link, and you'll get, by signing up, you get a free month to try it out. A free month. No penalties for canceling. You try it out. You get in the Discord, become a part of the community, and get access to all the extra members content, which we'll be having a members live again here soon, probably today or tomorrow, and looking at deep diving some stuff that we talked about in the Discord the other day. MFN Tango also has just gifted 5 American Fire memberships, so thank you for that, friend, and appreciate you supporting the channel like that. Welcome, guys, and now you have access to a lot of the members only content. So welcome. You don't have access to the Discord. You got to join the Patreon for that, but you do get to get into the content. Let's see here. Mr. G says, crazy Dems aren't smart enough to see weaponizing government destroyed them. Well, they never thought they'd lose, you know? They thought they would continue to win, that Kamala was going to get in, and the gravy train would keep going for them. They wouldn't have to worry about the repercussions. But now, that's the problem. Let's see here. High Climber thinks I'm delusional about Bovino. Am I? Then why'd he go with Grifton along with Stu Peters and all them after leaving? The guy is not who you think he is. I'm sorry to tell you. But I get that you want it to be more hardcore, but Homan is doing a much better job. And Bovino was making a lot of mistakes. It's just the facts. And you notice how much smoothly the deportation efforts are going on now with Bovino gone? Yeah. He might be a hardcore guy, but he wasn't very good at doing it in a way that's ultimately effective long term. And that's what we need. We need people to be doing this stuff with wisdom, not just bull in a china shop. That doesn't work for long. Not especially because once the people turn against you, you can't keep doing it. So let's see. Discord's a leftist company. Well, you're not paying Discord anything. You're just using the chat. Sorry. It always makes me funny when people are like, I don't like a leftist company. What do you think YouTube is? You're watching on YouTube. You're supporting YouTube, aren't you? Your views support YouTube. You're giving them money when they run ads. Good luck getting away from all the leftist companies. Good luck with that. Sav Smiles, they need to demand paternity tests if women have more than one kid for welfare. Go after the fathers to pay for them. There's something to that. There is. There's a lot we could do. To clean up the welfare system. Absolutely, for sure. Anything else here standing out right now? Don't see many people tagging me on anything. So I think we can get moving on here. All right. Dems are better than 50-50 take House. It depends who you watch. Depends who you watch. Because of the redistricting, it's much, much harder for them right now. And a lot of the polls have Republicans now favored. Because anytime you see a generic ballot and it's under 4 points, it means Republicans are favored to take the House, because the Dems have to win by 4+ points in order to get the House back because of the redistricting, which means they are actually not favored in many polls now. And so, yeah, again, I cover this a lot. Depending on where you look, it's, but the fact it's 50-50 right now with Trump and Iran, with gas prices up, you gotta say that that's very bullish for us. That's very bullish for us. Do I think Trump puts in Nunes for ODNI? I don't know. I know that's the popular guess right now, but I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if Trump shakes it up and surprises us just like he did with Pulte. So you never know, folks. You just never know. Okay, today's Grifter Report. Let's show you guys what's going on in Grifter Fagaland, the fake MAGA, the real America Firsters. Yeah. these total morons. Well, Candace still in Russia. And as of last week, Candace told us she was going to Russia for her family to go sightseeing, and her husband wants to go fishing. Sounds so nice. And instead, she's doing media tours. She's going around. She's talking on RT. She's doing panels with people like pedophile Scott Ritter and meeting up with Alexander Dugin. Well, this is like one of the biggest exposures of her ever. And somebody found little Dugin in the Epstein files. Look at this. This is to Jeffrey Epstein from Redacted. It says, I just came back to the island. I had such an amazing day. Crazy. Skydiving, scuba diving, sky ride with the girls. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I wish you were here and this great day could be shared with you. Lots of hugs. P.S. I researched movies we can watch. P.S. 2. Have you ever heard of Alexander Dugin, one of Putin's advisors, which is actually not true. He never was a Putin advisor, even though that keeps getting ascribed to him. If not, reading about him and his views might be interesting and perhaps quite useful, ... Isn't that interesting? Talking to Epstein about Dugin and how he could be useful, and now all of a sudden we have all these influencers being called out by Dugin, meeting with Dugin. So far, ones that have had connections with Dugin that are direct at some point are Candace, Tucker, and we got people like Glenn Greenwald out there defending him because they interviewed him. Yeah, very interesting that all these people were kind of in the MAGA sphere leading up to the election, and now they're all turning, and they all have this connections to this mastermind type behind the scenes. And his past gets shadier and shadier. So good choice there, Candace. That doesn't look weird at all. I thought you were part of the anti-Epstein class. I'd love to hear what Dave Smith and Thomas Massey would have to say about this, because these are, their favorite people are all hanging out. The people on their side are all hanging out with Dugin, who is who's Epstein class for sure, with real connections there. Now, Candace getting interviewed on RT had some interesting things to say. Listen to, again, they're parroting one of our favorite psyops going on right now. Here's Candace bringing it up all over again.
Let me ask you a very important question, because you may have heard this, you may not have heard this, but there's a buzz out there in America that you would make a great next president of the United States. I apologize for asking, but
no, you're fine.
No buzz.
I always tell my listeners I'd never run for president. I'd only run for dictator, because I'm not dealing with Congress. I'm not dealing with lobbying.
Right.
I'm not dealing with any of this. I'm not dealing with Lindsey Graham calling for another war. I'm just going to be like, here's what we're doing and here's what we're not doing. So I tell them, vote for me if the terms are acceptable, that I will be dictator of the United States, and that is it. But in the short run, I really don't have an interest in running for office, because there is just too much inauthenticity. Also, the great letdown of Trump.
That's rich
I would be interested in strongly getting behind someone like Tucker Carlson, though.
There it is. I'd be interested in getting behind someone like Tucker Carlson. We just heard this from Dave Smith. We've heard it from Thomas Massey. We can keep hearing this. Tucker for president, Megyn Kelly. What are the odds they're all saying it at the same time? Just saying. What are the odds? Are any of these people free thinkers? That's a little suspect, don't you think?
I would. And so I would love for him to run, and I would create the dynamic that me and Charlie had and run all over to help him get.
Dynamic me and Charlie had, where he kicked you to the curb and said, stay away from her. She's not invited anymore. We don't want anything to do with Candace anymore here at TPUSA. That dynamic, that would, that might work.
Elected because he.
And Tucker was also very fond and friendly with Charlie Kirk.
He was,
Both of you
and to see him be one of the lone voices, I would also say Megyn Kelly, who told the truth.
You guys see it's a circle jerk. They're all together all the time. Oh, and Megyn Kelly. She's just name dropping all the same people. That is it's so obvious. It's pathetic. I mean, these people, it's crazy.
About Charlie shifting perspectives toward the end.
Yes.
Just only further committed me to and he's also at a great place in his life. His children are older. I would gratefully get behind someone like Tucker Carlson.
They really, really are trying to push this to happen. They want it. They want. And don't be surprised if they try it to just see if they can get any traction at all and throw off things. But they're going to try at some point. They're going to keep testing the waters here, but they might actually try it. A Tucker Massey ticket. Do not be shocked if they go for it, because this is crazy. They keep pushing it, even though it becomes more and more obvious by the day. Tucker's losing popularity. They have no home on the left. The left will never embrace them again, and they're burning every bridge with MAGA. So it has no chance. But the fact they keep pushing it like this, it's very clear they're testing the waters and seeing if they can get anything built up on that. Now, speaking of Massey, well, he's coming out now and letting us know he's about to drop some names. Epstein? No. Says on June 8th, I'll speak on the floor of the House to honor and memorialize the brave crew of the U.S. Liberty who died and were wounded in an unprovoked attack by Israel, the Jews, on 1967. Thanks, Massey. That's what we need right now. Let's focus on attacks that happened 60 years ago. And meanwhile he's saying, "Oh, get ready. I'm about to drop some names on Epstein. I will rough it up in my last year here. I only got a few more months. Watch out. Now I don't have anything to worry about." And instead, no, he's just going to talk about what the Jews did 60 years ago. Yep. That's the principled guy that everybody is, like, this is our man. This is America first. And the fraud keeps coming. He went to Costa Rica. He had 2 weeks with Marjorie Taylor Greene. They did whatever they do together. And now he's back. He's ready. And he's like, let's go after the Jews again, because they really got nothing else. Keep the grift. Keep on grifting, buddy. Keep the grift going. Now, speaking of a grifter, Hassan Piker, it's really getting bad for him. He just went to Cuba not that long ago. It was announced they're looking into him. He's freaking out about it. And now we're getting the exposure. They've decided Hassan must go. And all this is starting to come out. We got Hassan Piker, seedy, sex-obsessed life in New York Post, soliciting nudes, list of best breasts, and a separate laptop for porn. German brothel situation confirmed. Got nudes from fans he didn't know the ages of. Sent nudes to friends without consent. Went to a Diddy party at Coachella. Diddy ties confirmed. At college, snuck lax into ladies' drinks so he could record them crapping and have a second laptop for all this stuff. Disgusting. This man is a total pervert, far left. And the reason I bring him up is because, he's not MAGA. He didn't grift our side, right? No, he's only the biggest person on the left as far as the young people for what they're pushing, the communism. But he's also the nephew of one Cenk Uygur, who Cenk Uygur is buddies now with Dave Smith. He was supporting Thomas Massey. He just keeps making this podcast circuit, gets along with Tucker, gets along with Megyn Kelly. They're all buddies now, the commies and the libertarians, as I showed the other day. This is his nephew. And so you just see these people are filthy. They're disgusting. They'll sell their souls for $1, and then they just do horrible things behind the scenes. It's all closing in. It's all coming out, and it's just a proof we're in a shift. Things are starting to change as all these people are starting to get outed, and we're better off for it. Now, one of my favorite people to out, because he's been kind of a joke of himself, is one Alex Jones. Now, Alex today has a new prediction. Alex came out yesterday, and in this interview with Mark Lynch, see, there's a lot of people. None of us like Lindsey Graham. Can we agree? Nobody likes Lindsey Graham. The guy's kind of a sicko. He's neocon. He's establishment, and yet Lindsey Graham has proven to be useful for Trump because he votes with him and everything. He defends him always in public. He's become useful because Lindsey Graham is the kind of guy who he's going to do what it takes to stay in power. And when you need to win, you can use somebody like that. Well, the MAGA America First candidate that everybody is saying should take down Lindsey Graham is this Mark Lynch. Well, why would Trump? A lot of people get mad at Trump. Why don't you endorse Mark Lynch? Let's get Lindsey out of there. Well, I think it's becoming more and more obvious why. Mark Lynch is a favorite of this whole grifter crew. He probably would be like a Joe Kent, get in there and then betray President Trump, like a Massey, Joe Kent type. Because look at his buddies. It's the Alex Jones crew. It's the Tucker Carlson crew. You can't trust these people. Now, Alex is predicting now. Polls indicate Lindsey Graham is in serious danger of losing his Senate primary race next Tuesday to hardcore America First patriot Mark Lynch. In this must-watch interview, Lynch destroys Graham using the Israel Firster's own record, claiming the documented fact Lady Lindsey, Bubble Wad Graham is the #1 funder of Hamas, Hezbollah, Al-Qaeda, and ISIS. Lindsey Graham is the #1 funder of all these? How can one senator be the number one funder of that? That's a ridiculous thing to say. Surging Republican candidate, successful Christian businessman joins Alex Jones to bring the list. I mean, listen, when you say this kind of stuff, it's nonsense. But here's the funny part. This is polls indicate Lindsey Graham's in serious danger is the lead here. What poll? The latest polls have him down 10. So Alex is always, usually it's being proven more and more, not as accurate in his predictions as he wants you to believe. In fact, Alex, hilariously, posted this clip of him making predictions about Iran last year. And the whole clip is about how Alex nailed it, how he predicted everything right. Well, I watched this clip, and I just got to show you, I found it very funny. Alex has done a great job of proving he's right in his predictions, and he's got this, Alex Jones was right. It's the whole spiel about Alex and why people have fallen for him for so long, and including myself. I enjoyed Alex for several years, and now it's all fallen apart for him. But here's a great example of Alex outing himself. Watch this. Let's skip ahead a little bit because it's a long clip, but I want to get to where he's predicting what would happen if we went into Iran.
Get their country back, but all the regime change the U.S. and England have been involved in for 80 plus years are very probable. And then, of course, you've got Eric Kurilla, who's very respected and a great veteran. The Strait of Hormuz getting blocked, which the Iranians can easily do. And on that, I'm sure he's aware of those things.
This is from last summer, him predicting what would happen if Trump went into war.
But just the issue of the Strait of Hormuz getting blocked, which the Iranians can easily do and said they will, that will send oil to 110, 130, 140.
110, 130, 140. Alex says it right here. 1 year ago, Alex predicted word for word how a conflict with Iran would skyrocket oil prices. Well, oil prices did go up, but Alex, we have a problem here with your prediction that it would go up to 140. Let's look at oil right now. Oh, Alex. Oh, Alex, I'm so sorry. Where's the 110, 130, 140, Alex? But again, I guess you could say he said they'd go up. Okay. Well, that was an easy one, but let's listen a little more.
That will then double the CPI inflation. Then that will get interest rate.
Double the CPI. That hasn't happened either. Interest rates?
It's raised undoubtedly.
Interest rates raised undoubtedly. We haven't had a single interest rate yet. And Kevin Warsh just came in, and Kevin Warsh wants to lower interest rates. All right, Alex, you're 0 for 3 so far.
Do the equations. The economists have all done it. It's a fact, and that would derail Trump's economic recovery plan that's already going so well.
It would derail it? We just got record job numbers, and we got manufacturing is up, wages are up. Jones, what's going on here?
On the trade deals, on getting our independence back, on ending our long surrender. You mentioned the sanctuary cities being the real fight to go in and expose the election fraud. The Ninth Circuit saying, no, the president has control of the National Guard. And
so those are his predictions about going into Iran. And then he's going to tout himself here a little bit. Watch. This is fun. I like watching Alex be wrong about so much.
Right there. Now Iran says they can build a nuke anytime or have a nuke, as I predicted. The Strait happened. The oil prices happened. The derailing of the dollar happened. The world
derailing of the dollar happened? That doesn't happen. The dollar's just fine. Wait, this is revisionist history here, Alex.
They can build a nuke anytime or have a nuke, as I predicted. The Strait happened. The oil prices happened. The derailing of the dollar.
The oil prices didn't happen. You guys see how they just lied to you in your face? It's narrative. It's a spinning a narrative, and he's got hundreds of thousands of people watching him saying Alex was right again. This guy, he nails it. Alex is every time he's right.
Happened. The world unifying against us in Israel.
The world unifying against us in Israel? That didn't happen. The Middle East is more at peace and on our side than ever before. This is insane. This is insane. Trump is making peace with China. He's making peace with Putin. Are you kidding me, Alex? He just lies. Just outright lies. This is crazy stuff.
Approval ratings plunging. Democrats up.
Okay, his approval ratings are down. Okay, Alex, you got one. You're 1 for 7. But the Democrats are not up, so now you're 1 for 8.
All of this. So
all of this. This is the genius that people have been saying for so long. Alex is right about everything. And then Alex comes out, and this is today. Look, noon. Actually, yesterday, June 5th. Friday bombshell podcast. CIA insiders confirm Iran has nuclear weapons. Wait a second. Doesn't that mean Trump did the right thing? Doesn't that mean Trump was right, Alex? What are you trying to do here? I mean, doesn't this go against your own thing, your own grift? I thought we weren't supposed to go into Iran because there's no proof they have nukes. And now you got people on your show, and your headline is they confirm they have nuclear weapons? This is just unbelievable nonsense. And, I laugh at it because you have to laugh. Otherwise, it's sad. We had a lot of people who could be doing a lot of good stuff for you. We could have people actually reporting truth with massive viewership and actually helping Americans move forward. I got to tell you, one of the most amazing things about MAGA is that it's withstood this, because we don't get our news from mainstream media. MAGA's past that. And MAGA now is the biggest political force in the country. We own the Republican Party, and we're taking it over even more. We're growing. And we don't get our news from mainstream media. We got a lot of our news from people like him. And yet, Trump has kept his base with all these people lying, with all these people turning on him. It's incredible. And it tells you that what Trump has built is one of the most amazing movements in history, because these people are crashing out right now, right in front of our eyes, exposing who they are more and more. It's getting more and more obvious by the day. And it's honestly, at this point, it's just pathetic. And I don't know what even to say to somebody still watching these people, because what I just showed you guys, like Alex touting himself as being right on everything when he just watched a clip of himself being wrong on almost everything. Like Alex, like if I was wrong on something, I would not show a clip of me being wrong and then say I was right. That's just not something you do. That's stupid. And honestly, it's bad for you. It's going to wake up more people. And that's what he just did. This is how bad it's getting for them, guys. They are just trying to grasp at anything to keep their audiences, to keep their influence, but it's falling away quick. And so one of the great things Trump's done is expose. In term 1, he exposed the fake news. Mainstream media pretty much killed it. In term 2, he's exposing the podcast influencer circuit. And it's just proving, A, that the mainstream media handlers just moved on to most of these people. And B, it's proving that the MAGA, you guys, people like noting this stuff, people still supporting the president despite all this, we are the smartest, most well-versed, and best critical thinking movement that's maybe ever existed in our country, at least in the last 100 years. It's pretty incredible, and you guys all deserve to give yourselves a pat on the back for surviving the greatest 10 years of psyops we've ever seen. And on this side of it, like, they're the ones losing. So that's a beautiful thing. Congratulations, guys. You did it. All right. Please hit that like and subscribe. I got one more segment coming up. We're going to get into the latest on Iran, Cuba, and Russia, Ukraine. We just got massive news. So stay in your seat. We have much more coming up. But hit that like, hit that subscribe. Appreciate you guys watching. Oh, look, we got trolls. I told you. What did I tell you guys? I said the trolls would come out today, and because of all the positive news. And so I just took out a troll. Looks like the mods took out another one. Good job, guys. Oh, anytime there's good news, the trolls are going to come out because they can't help themselves. They patrol YouTube and like, who do we go after? What chat can we ruin? And we just knock them out. Not on this show, folks. You guys don't get any influence on this, folks. This show, we take you guys out. I don't stand for bots. I don't stand for trolls. It's not going to happen. All right. Any tags? Let's see here. Let's see. Heart of Music says, I've lost any respect for Tucker, Massey, Megan, Alex, and Candace. They think dividing MAGA will be good for America until we ultimately end up with AOC as president. Shame on them all. Yeah, thank God we won't end up with AOC as president, but I know what you mean. And you're right on what they want. Listen, guys, if you don't mind, hit that. I already asked for a like and subscribe, but just a reminder, if you want to support the channel, please consider clicking on the Patreon link in the description, getting a free month, claim a free month of membership. And if you like this chat, you'll really love the Discord chat. There's so many good conversations going on there. So much news shared up to date. It goes 24/7. The people in there are amazing. Lots of friendships are being forged. All kinds of great stuff going on in there. And yeah, I just can't recommend the community enough. So you'll want to get into that and then also get into the members only content. All right. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Now, let me get back in this again. And another reminder, guys, if you are trying to get my attention in the chat, please hit me with the a tag so I can see it, or a super chat so I can be guaranteed to see it, because YouTube does organize super chats differently, so I never miss them. TGC says, as a believer, how do I reconcile biblical prophecy with Trump taking on City of London, their proxies in the Middle East? I'll just give you the quick lesson, because you must be new here because you haven't heard me go through this before. I understand biblical prophecy different than most people in the West. I believe more of the Eastern view of it, which was also the traditional view of it. And I believe things, the prophecy, most people believe is just not happening. I believe a lot of it was already fulfilled, and it was for their time, other than Jesus coming back. So the way I look at it is the world's going to keep getting better until Jesus comes to finish the job. We go as far as we go. And because of that, I don't have to worry about a third temple or all this stuff in the Middle East. It doesn't, but as far as City of London, I believe there's a one world system that God has continually knocked back. That's a spirit from the Satan himself, and it goes all the way back to the Tower of Babel was the first time it was used against us. I just did a teaching on this, which we'll repost again tomorrow as a clip. But yeah, it's a system that we've constantly defeated. God keeps knocking back over and over again, and Trump is knocking it back again right now. And so that's how I reconcile my beliefs as a believer with that. Did I butt hurt Greg? He got kicked out, so I can't even see his stuff right now. They don't like Trump being right so much. Mr. Bedhead with the $5 super chat says, I moved from Cali to Texas last December, and now I hear the Hindu Shanka horn blowing every morning. Can't escape. That sucks, and I'm so sorry for you. You must be in a very specific part of Texas to be hearing that, because I know as somebody who lived in Texas for 9 years, I didn't deal with any of that, but it is a problem in certain areas. I don't think it's going to last forever, though. I think we're going to see breakthrough in that and push back on that. Okie Sooner sent some flow state over. Thank you, Okie Sooner. I appreciate you right there. Thank you so much. If MAGA isn't a cult, why are there support groups popping up across the country for leaving it? What a stupid question. Well, okay, why is there therapists actually treating TDS and it's now recognized as a mental disorder? That's a fact. Go look it up. Support groups for leaving MAGA. Oh, are you kidding me? MAGA is still holding 95% for Trump. And also the fact is it's growing. And I'm sorry, but a cult is not 35% of the population. Have you ever studied cults? Cults are lucky to get like 0.1% of a population at its largest. Cults are too easy to see through. You can't get cult, but you must be a liberal, which means you're kind of in your own cult, because you probably believe a man can be a woman. That's all I gotta say about the difference between MAGA and that thinking. So, but thank you for being respectful in your question at the least. Do I think Alex would run as Tucker's VP? No. Alex, no. They need somebody they can actually believe could be popular, which is going to be Tucker and Massey. So, let's see here. Abbott's been flooding them in like red by, I don't know. Abbott's also passed some stuff that's kind of pushing back on the whole like Islamic growth. So I don't know. I don't think Abbott is a good dude. I think he's deep stater, but I also think he's in such a red state that he can't help but have to just do whatever the voters want him to do. And he's kind of a useful idiot like Lindsey Graham, right? Whereas like President Trump can co-opt him, and that's enough. So, let's see here. Anything else before we move on? Massey losers. Oh, Greg loves Alex Jones? That's hilarious. Well, he must be one of the last ones. There's not many of them left. Alex is so exposed at this point. It's sad. Sad. Like Trump always says when he tweets something. That's sad. Therapies invented by the Jews. I love it. Yeah, they brought in the term cult to mean people who like a group they don't like. Yeah, it's absolutely true. The true definition of a cult originally was a perversion of Christianity. That's like originally what a cult was. So, anyways, I'm not going to go into that, but that was the original definition. And then it broadened out as people were getting into like little Hindu cults or Buddhist cults, or it just became like offshoots of official religions and smaller sects, and it's like crazy stuff. It's usually around one centralized charismatic leader, and the people push out. That's the other thing with a cult. They push everybody out that is an opposite thinker. And that is one of the main tells that MAGA is not a cult. We have more diversity of thought in our movement than any other movement. And that's already been proven. The left is the one who pushes out diversity of thought. We are not. We're not. We just have big old arguments and work it out. But we don't push anybody out. Let's see here. Rob Miller says Sherrod Brown, radical communist, is ahead in Senate polls in Ohio because of inflation. If Trump doesn't get inflation down, you'll wake up on November 4th to a Democrat Congress. Not a Senate. The Senate, there's no way they're going to get it back. And I disagree. I think we're going to win the House, even if, and by the way, inflation is not soaring. That's a lie. What's happening is gas prices are up. And so gas prices up impacts pricing, but that's not what inflation is. Inflation is too much money being printed, and so prices go up from inflation because there's more dollars to go around for goods. That's what inflation is. It's a devaluing of goods and services because there's just more money out there. And that's what actual inflation is. What we're seeing right now is not inflation. It's a price hike. It's a temporary price hike, and so it can go down a lot sooner and bring everything else down with it. It's not the same thing as inflation. Inflation is persistent because inflation can only be beat or overcome by wages rising. Prices go up and down. Gas prices are up right now. They'll go back down. So it's not inflation, and that's important to remember. It's much easier to get gas prices down. Everything else starts going down as a result. So just remember that. And also remember the fact that the Democrats, even with inflation right now, are way more unpopular than Republicans. And the numbers are already very close, even with us in the worst situation we could be in. I mean, look at right now, Republicans are gaining back, and that's with prices up. So I just don't share in the doomerism. And I also don't believe state polls usually, Docno with the $2 super chat says sad sacks are sad. Trump is right and Alex reports it. Yeah, right. as we just showed. Let's see. Gas prices are up. Democrat Party remains insane. That's true. Rob Math, I don't like Alex Jones. He's not wrong about oil prices. They've been consistently up since March. He was wrong on oil prices, dude. Come on. I just showed you. He predicted catastrophic oil prices. Oil prices are just, they're right around 90. I just, in my local gas station right now, gas is $3.80, which is high, but it wasn't as high as it was. Gas is starting to go back down. And he wasn't right. He was completely wrong. He said it would be $1.30, $1.40, which means $6, $7 gas even in red states. That didn't happen. So he was wrong. I'm sorry. He was wrong. Yeah, they were elevated, but they're not up that much. Do I watch And We Know? I don't. I don't even know what that is. Gas prices are transitory. There you go. Anyways, all right, let's get moving on. And we got some updates in world events that are important. These are important updates. So, as always, Iran remains probably the most important thing going on in the world today, as it's going to unravel a lot. And so, as of right now, what's going on in Iran, as it gets figured out and as it's coming to a head, which I believe isn't that far off, we're starting to see the effects it's having on everything else. And it's a domino effect. Well, the Iranian regime is still doing all kinds of weird stuff, like trying to get Trump to attack them. Here's another example of it. CENTCOM, there was a story last night that says Iran came out and said it fired warning shots at U.S. warships in the Gulf of Oman, forcing American vessels to retreat. Now, why would they put this out there? Because CENTCOM says that's false. This makes Iran look tough, and it also is a story to try and get everybody to be like, let's go fight them. Again, just as I said the other day, is that I believe Iran is trying to goad Trump into attacking them again for a variety of reasons, which we don't know all of them. But I think it's obvious at this point that Trump's patience is actually more dangerous to them than us getting involved in bombing them. Here's the truth. Iranian forces did not attack or fire at U.S. Navy warships. That would be a gross violation of the ceasefire. U.S. forces continue to operate freely in the regional waters while keeping the blockade on. So very interesting that CENTCOM would come out to make this adjustment. But again, the crazier Iran starts feeding out stories and psyop stories, the more it tells me they're in a bad place, which kind of goes with backing up Trump's methodology here and Trump's strategy here of drawing them out. Now, Rubio talking about Iran just kind of gives you another insight as to why we're there. And this is just an excellent little breakdown.
The Iranian foreign minister, what he said at the UN Human Rights Commission, accusing the U.S. and Israel of genocide, essentially.
The Iranian? Yes. Oh, okay. Well, he's an expert in genocide. They're experts in that because, they sponsor terrorism all over the world. And they've killed thousands and thousands of people. Look at the Middle East. Look at the Middle East, guys. Every problem in the Middle East tracks back to Iran. Hezbollah, Iran. Shia militias that are destroying and threatening Iraq, Iran. Hamas, Iran. The Houthis, Iran. Assad when he was in Syria, Iran. Everywhere you turn, they're behind all of it. They are a destabilizing, dangerous, evil force that had to be dealt with. They have to be weakened.
Very interesting how Rubio just broke that down. All right, so he just kind of proved through like an excellent breakdown of why Iran is the key to so much. Now, we already know how it affects City of London, the EU, the globalist system with shipping and oil. But this is more proof that Iran was the key to keeping the Middle East destabilized. He literally said right now, Iran is responsible for all of it. This was their proxy to keep it, to be able to trigger war whenever they want, destabilize whenever they want, and get the war machine ramped up again. Iran. What was interesting is he dropped Assad in Syria. That was very interesting. He, of course, mentioned Hezbollah, Houthis, Hamas, all those affecting Israel, a lot of them affecting other countries as well. And we're watching in real time as the Gulf states all come together against Iran on the side of America in this thing, which also means they're on the side of Israel, which kind of like that really goes against a lot of what we were taught to expect, doesn't it? Again, Rubio he broke it down completely in 40 seconds why Iran is so important and why we're willing to draw this out. Now, the latest coming out is that there is a warning to Iran that you get a deal or a military strike. Again, this round and round we go, right? We've kind of heard this before, but this is the first time it's been an official warning like this. We'll see if it holds up. We'll see this weekend. Trump was hinting that something could happen this weekend. A couple weekends ago, they were very close, as Trump proved it by staying home, missing his son's wedding, calling everybody in to the White House, to the Situation Room over the weekend. So we know that the White House thinks something is close. The question is, the IRGC, they just can't give in, especially with City of London ties. They can't afford to lose Iran, again, as Rubio just explained it. They lose a whole lot more than the shipping, oil manipulation, OPEC. But the language, we're starting to see slight differences in how it's being handled now than it was before. Iran is starting to spew more and more PSYOP stuff like this, telling us they're doing things they aren't. They have been attacking Kuwait and other places, and we've been intercepting a lot of it. I mean, their Timu missiles just aren't that great, as continually shown, but they're in a bad place. As Besant tells us right here, Iran's economy is floundering. Its military is decimated. Through economic fury, Treasury will continue to sever Iran's shadow fleet, shadow banking networks, and access to global trade. Shadow banking networks. There you go. That's the connections to City of London right there. This is all getting cut off. We're bleeding them out. And the Treasury Department says the Foreign Assets Control designating a network of individuals, entities, and vessels responsible for shipping hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Iranian origin liquid petroleum gas, intentionally disguised as a Omani LPG, to end users in South and East Asia. So as this is going on, the Trump administration keeps finding more places to take their money away. It's bleeding them dry. So this is why Trump's so patient, because while it looks like we're in a stalemate, we're actually getting a lot done, putting more and more pressure on them. Now, here's a really interesting report that just came out from CBN, which is Christian Broadcasting. But this report says Islam is dead in Iran, says Mohammed Faridi. He grew up in Iran's Islamic martyrdom culture and was trained to be a shaheed in the IRGC until he found out about Jesus. Now, as thousands of mosques close, see, we're seeing mosques open here, but they're closing in Iran, and the Islamic regime loses its grip on the hearts of its people, something extraordinary is happening. There's a revival happening in Iran, which that would make more sense why Trump is hesitant to attack, right? Because if one of the most dangerous things to a regime, a government, is the people changing completely their faith. This is why communists always take out Christianity first wherever they're at. They take out the Christians. They did it in Russia, Spain, China, you name it. They always go after Christians first. When you have a people where there's a revival breaking out, that means they're much more likely to overturn their regime. And you add the pressures, the economic pressures on top of that, the fact we're not attacking, so we're not galvanizing the people against us. There's a perfect storm brewing in Iran right now, folks. This is more proof of it. Before our revolution in 1776, we had a great awakening. It's funny how this stuff happens and leads to, but it's another sign something big is coming in Iran, and maybe the people would be the ones to actually finish the job here But to me, it's just more proof that the Trump administration knows exactly what they're doing. Now, we still have morons like this going out there, and I had to share this because we've been laughing about this for 2 months, and the people are still pushing it out there. But Chris Martinson showing the kind of stuff that he follows me on X, apparently. He should know better. But he's parroting the kind of nonsense like Alex Jones is and Scott Ritter. But I think Iran knows exactly what they're doing. I think they're biding time, waiting for the U.S. to crash into its tank bottoms. I think we're going to be surprised at how devastating it is when oil spikes to 150, 200 or higher. They're always saying the same thing. We're all going to be surprised when our capital markets absolutely break down under those circumstances. We're all going to be surprised. All my reporting on the Iran war. Also, you didn't tell us about the super duper secret missiles, bro. Don't they still have those too? This stuff is so stupid. But they have a whole doomer group out there having to push these narratives that somehow, some way, after we bombed Iran and took out all their military and are squeezing them economically, that somehow, some way, Iran has us exactly where they want us. I don't know what to tell you if you believe that, but it's hilarious. They're still pushing that out there. But to me, it just tells you they're worried. Let's put it that way. Now, Bessent had this exchange the other day, and it has a little bit to do with Iran, as you'll see here, but it also is just another wonderful clip of Bessent owning a Democrat. Check this out.
Blip. Recently, President Trump proudly claimed that he doesn't think about Americans' financial situation when it comes to the war with Iran. So I want to ask you, Secretary Bessent, do you agree with President Trump that you also do not care about Americans' financial situations?
Congresswoman, who was the president during World War I?
Wait for it. Who was the president in World War I? Look at Scott straining his ear to listen. Who was it? Who was it? How can you be a congresswoman and not know who the president was in World War I, by the way? Great, easy question, right? Woodrow Wilson, we all know that. Listen.
Can you, are you refusing to answer my question?
No, I'm asking, who was the president during World War I?
I don't know, but...
Oh my God, these people are so stupid. They're so stupid. How do you not know that? It's only one of the most the most well-known presidents in our history. But, you know, you could say he's a terrible president, but because of World War I and the Fed and all this stuff that happened on his watch, he's one of the well-known, probably top 10 most well-known presidents in our history. Can't even answer. That's insane.
Clearly, you are not answering my question.
World War I was. Well, let me tell you.
So I'm clearly getting the idea that you do not want...
Look at the fun he's having. He was just gleeful. You don't know who the president was in World War I. He starts with that. So good.
Getting the idea that you do not want to answer whether you agree with President Trump that you do not care about Americans' financial situations.
President Trump does care about Americans' financial situation.
Well, he actually said that he doesn't.
No, that is a truncated thing, like everything is.
Like everything is.
He is future-proofing, because I can tell you, Americans' financial situations would be devastated if Iran got a nuclear weapon and there was a permanent shutdown of the flow of energy out of the Middle East.
Well, then let me ask you, was your prediction...
And I promise you that President
I'm taking my time back.
I will promise you that President Woodrow Wilson, who was president during World War I, the Germans did not attack us. That he got into that. It was
or you're not answering the question, so let me ask this.
And I guarantee
was your prediction that Americans
Woodrow
would face
Wilson
only 50 days of temporary elevated prices wrong?
His face right here. He's like, this woman is such a moron. Unbelievable. So good. He lectured her and she is so mad. She just knows how stupid she looks. But all they have is their talking points and they just keep going. But he's also absolutely right. This is a long-term move. It's a long-term move that economically will be great for us. So just wonderful. Now, while this is going on in Iran, what have I been telling you guys? Iran, as it unfolds, could lead to peace between Ukraine and Russia because it's breaking so much of the globalist power structure. It's also kind of empowering Russia a little bit more. Ukraine's struggling. despite what the media wants you to believe. And so it's got this domino effect, right? To Russia, Ukraine, and then Cuba, and who knows what else. But listen to this. Zelensky waves the white flag. Ukrainian president offers immediate full ceasefire, direct talks with Putin, prisoner swap, and neutral venue summit in an open letter. He's writing an open letter now to say, let's figure this out. Let's end this. That's a big deal. That means Ukraine's in a really bad place. Here's a good breakdown. In a lengthy open letter posted on X, President Vladimir Zelensky directly addresses Putin, urging him to end the war in Ukraine. Zelensky says Russian soldiers being eliminated 6 times more than Ukraine with a 63 fatality rate. There's no way that's true. You don't offer surrender like this if you're winning by this much. Says there's growing fatigue of Putin in his own country and suggests there could be further escalation. Zelensky stresses Ukrainians do not want a permanent war. He proposes concrete steps to end the conflict. Immediate ceasefire for the duration of negotiations. A direct leader-level meeting with Zelensky and Putin in a neutral third country, explicitly rejecting Moscow, Kiev. Europe and United States as security guarantors to shape a new regional security architecture. All for all prisoner of war exchange, plus return to deported Ukrainian citizens and children. Straightforward bilateral talks on core issues rather than prolonged shuttle diplomacy or technical groups. Letter closes by warning if Putin does not choose to stop the war, Ukraine will continue fighting, and Putin will face even greater pressure for his own existence. It's kind of a joke letter because he's puffing himself up like how great we are. But I got to tell you that the sign is the actual offer. The offer is Ukraine knows they're losing. Zelensky's in trouble. The globalists can't fund them the same way they were. And I know everybody, like, the House just passed more aid to Ukraine. All the Democrats did, plus 19 Republicans joined them. But that doesn't mean it'll happen. It hasn't passed the Senate yet, and Trump could veto it. So unless the Senate votes over 66 votes, which they did in the past and overrode Trump. So we'll see how that plays out. But for now, this is looking like we're getting close to the end of Russia-Ukraine. And Iran had a big part of this. Now, here's another very interesting thing here. President Putin's envoy, Kirill Dmitriev, announces an agreement signed tomorrow between Russia's RDIF and engineering company for a tunnel design across the Bering Strait connecting Russia and the U.S. This is exactly what we've been talking about, the new connection to Russia with trade. Recently declassified JFK files showed President John F. Kennedy was in talks to build an intercontinental peace bridge between Alaska and Russia before he was assassinated, and now we might be seeing it.
У нас будет новость, да, завтра мы подписываем соглашение о том, что мы продолжаем проектирование тоннеля, поэтому тоннель будет, проектирование тоннеля мы делаем, и это будет одним из больших инфраструктурных проектов между нашими странами.
So, Trump, man, he just keeps doing it. It's so much is happening. Stuff that they've been trying to get going for 60 plus years is starting to happen. This will create a binding connection with Russia that'll change everything. It'll completely change how we deal with the Europe, the NATO. Obviously, we're making new connections with China, and this Iran war, man. It's like what we're seeing here. It's leading to all these other effects that nobody's, we talked about from the beginning here, right? I think you can go back to my videos in early March where we first attacked, and I started laying out like how I think a lot of this could happen, how Iran's the key to a lot of City of London's control. Well, isn't it interesting now that as Iran is starting to crash under the weight of what Trump's doing, we're starting to see stuff like this. Ukraine offering peace terms, this bridge being, agreed upon, this underground bridge between Russia and America. We're starting to see a lot of it play out, which means City of London is really losing its power. It's really getting pushed back. Now let's get to Cuba. Rubio is really pushing for Cuba, which makes sense. His parents are Cuban American, but also what he's been teaching us is Cuba is not what we thought it was. It wasn't just, most people would look at Cuba and just say it's a failing communist state. It's run by the Castros and, the people are stuck there, which all that's true to some extent. But Rubio has been feeding us more information about why Cuba is so important to be dealt with. And here's another one from Rubio. For decades, Cuba has been the world capital for radical left-wing terrorism. Now, I got to admit, guys, this is not something I've thought about. And I don't think most of you have either, if you're being honest, because most of us haven't looked at Cuba as important. It's just kind of there. The regime in Havana has recruited, trained, and backed violent Marxist and third worldist movements across our hemisphere and beyond. Today, we're targeting the network that enables and funds Cuba's subversive and radical operations. Isn't that interesting? A lot of the left-wing commie training has been going on in Cuba, being sent out from there, impacting all these other governments. Pursuant to sanctions, authorities created by Trump's groundbreaking Cuba executive order, I'm designating the following entities: Ministry of Revolutionary Armed Forces of Cuba, Cuban Institute of Friendship with the Peoples, Amistar Cuba, Committees of the Defense of the Revolution, Minero La Victoria. Anyone providing services to these sanctioned actors is at risk of sanctions themselves. What did we report the other day is how a lot of their money comes from Spain and EU banks, which would be the City of London system. We just opened up to sanction all those connections in the EU. That's interesting. Foreign banks and other companies providing services to the United States should freeze those activities. Trump admin will no longer tolerate radical Marxist regimes in our hemisphere seeking to threaten U.S. national security and engage in influence operations to export their poisonous and evil revolution, quote unquote, to our country and around the world. Very interesting stuff. And then on the heels of this, here's Trump speaking about Cuba and what could be coming next.
Care of the Islamic Republic of Iran. And as soon as that's done on our way back, we'll just make a little brief stop off.
Mr. President.
We'll take care of it. We want to help them out. Look, we have a lot of people that voted for Trump. Whether they did or not, it didn't matter. But I had 95% of the Cubans voted for me. They're unbelievable people. They're energetic. They're entrepreneurial. Some of the richest people in Miami are Cuban. They're unbelievable. And I'm going to take good care of them. I'm going to let them go back to their land. They want to be back with family. They have a lot of family over there. They've been treated very badly by Cuba. But we're going to treat Cuba well, and we're going to let our people go back and let them invest in Cuba if they'd like. So we have some very good plans for Cuba. I think, we have to get rid of the regime was very tough, very nasty. The difference is now they don't have money coming in. They had a lot of money coming in from Venezuela. They don't have any money coming. They had oil coming in. They had money coming in. But we're going to take care of Cuba.
Mr. President, sir.
And you know what? They want us to. The people want us there so badly.
It's always the money, right, guys? Every war is an economic war. Trump proving it again with Cuba. But did you hear what he said at the very beginning?
The Islamic Republic of Iran. And as soon as that's done on our way back, we'll just make a little brief stop off.
As soon as that's done on our way back, this is obviously a shout to Cuba. Like, hey, guys, get your affairs in order. We're coming. You're not going to be able to stop us. It's going to happen. And then he breaks down exactly why and everything. So when you go to that and you see what Rubio said, to me, they're acting as if the Cuba thing's already done. That's what they're acting like. It's there's so much confidence. They just brush it off as like being so easy to accomplish. But again, I think the Trump administration continues to stall out a lot of this because the longer they stall it out, they're learning more. They're finding the funding more. They're tracking the money. He's got percent. Everything keeps coming back to the money, right? I mean, Rubio just mentioned it. So they're learning more, and this is going to help them keep breaking down the cabal. City of London globalists getting pushed back. And, Iran, who knew? Before we went into Iran, everybody thought, oh, Israel, we're just doing this for Israel. And now we're watching how Venezuela and now Iran are unlocking so much. It's unbelievable. And it again proves just how smart this administration is. And when this is over, and we could be heading into the midterms with Iran solved, gas prices down, Cuba completely free, Russia and Ukraine ended, and City of London weaker than it's ever been in modern history. That, my friends, is massive. And with Trump doing this, along with everything he's doing here at home, this man is going to go down as the greatest president ever. I don't see how it happens any other way, the way things are turning out so far. So obviously it has to be seen through, but I feel like we're heading in a really good direction. All right, hit that like and subscribe, guys. Appreciate you guys. And let me get into the chat, answer your questions and comments before we head out of here. And again, if you want to support the channel, if you like the show, if you enjoyed what you've been watching and you enjoy the chat, you want to become a part of the community, get into the description, click the link to Patreon, sign up, get a free month to try it out and see if you like being a part of it. And from there, you can decide if you want to continue supporting the channel. I do, a lot of it. I work for myself, and this is a big part of that. So I thank you guys for that support for my content. All right. Let me check what's going on here. Let me make sure I didn't miss any super chats or anything. No, but I did see Mud Blood Beer. Look at that. Sent chili. Thank you. I could use a chili, a little hot sauce. But all right, let me get into the chat. Please make sure, guys, if you want to get my attention so I can definitely see, make sure you tag me. That is the most important. And then if you just have some, you got to get out and you want to support the channel at the same time, you can always send a super chat. Let's see here. Why won't President Trump ban mosques in USA? There's no way that would be allowed to happen under the Supreme Court, unfortunately. Just can't. They would never allow it. Trump is always, everything Trump's doing, guys, everything Trump's doing is within the legal bounds of our Constitution, legal framework. That's a fact. That's why Trump, he does it this way on purpose so that it lasts. He doesn't want to create change that doesn't last. And so he does it legally. And that's why we don't get some of the hardcore immediate action sometimes we want, because Trump is going to do it the legal way and get it through. So it lasts. And that's, I know people get frustrated by it because they want, like Candace Owens said, I want to be a dictator, not a president. Well, unfortunately, we have a president that's limited, and that's why. That's why he doesn't do stuff like that. Why is everyone mad at Ukraine? Ukraine is the most corrupt nation on the planet. That was, the New York Times called it that back in 2019. It was the hub of the deep state ever since Biden and Obama helped them stage a color revolution back in 2014. So the deep state cabal could completely take over Ukraine. It was the hub of human trafficking in the world. It's the hub of a lot of their money laundering. There's biolabs there. They were using Ukraine to basically do all the corrupt practices of the City of London globalist schemes. And that's why, one of the reasons why Putin went in. He also went in because they were bringing NATO up to its borders. See, people, you've been lied to that Putin attacked Ukraine unprovoked. That's an absolute lie. He was completely provoked. They were trying to bring NATO to his borders. They were fighting in the Donbass region, which is right there at the border, all this other stuff. And what Putin did was self-defensive against the globalists. And he had to do it with Trump gone. So, and he offered them peace in 2022. And you know who said no? Ukraine was ready to accept it. England or UK and France went to Zelensky and said, do not accept the peace deal. And then they've been fighting ever since, because City of London won't allow Ukraine to stop. Until it gets so bad, Ukraine has no other choice. So that's why we are not fans of Ukraine in this war. And that's not saying Russia's, that's not saying Putin's a good dude. But it is saying that he is fighting something that's much worse. C. Gene with the $2 super chat. Thank you so much for the support, friend. No question or comment, but I appreciate the support. Thank you, guys. Let's see here. Brent says, your regime in Cuba is basically the same as regime in Iran, funded by the same banking cartel. There's a lot of truth to that. It's not completely the same, but, commies. And isn't it funny how communists, Islam, the similarities, how they run their governments? That's not a coincidence. It's also not a coincidence that the Muslims were fully sided with Hitler in World War II. Not a coincidence. That's why they changed their name from Persia to Iran. Iran means Aryan, which Aryan is the Übermensch, the Superman that Hitler believed in. Good question. Sonny Danielson asks, what's Russia done the past 2 decades that's so horrible? Not much. Not much. It just depends on, I guess, what you think of them invading Georgia or, but overall they haven't, nothing too crazy. They're not the Soviet Union anymore, and that's one of the big lies going around. Let's see here. CG, made it to your live. Forgot to put a message in. Have a great weekend. Love the channel. Keep up the great. Thank you, CG. I appreciate you. Have a great weekend on yourself, friend. D3 says it draws on the Supreme Court to lean Trump's way. Exactly. That's why he's got to do stuff the right way. You got to have the Supreme Court on your side to make stuff last. 100%. We do have a lot of human trafficking in the U.S., but we're not the hub of the globalist center for it, especially now that Trump's here. Although they did make a big push of that during the Biden administration. 100%. All right. Well, the argument between Putin and Ukraine is going on in the chat. I will tell you this. And then I'll leave the rest of my thoughts alone for now so we don't get stuck on it. You don't have to like Putin. You don't have to trust him. But if you study him since he came into power in the late 90s, there is no doubt that A, he's not trying to bring back the Soviet Union. There's just no evidence of that whatsoever. 2, he is a sovereigntist for his country. He's a Russian patriot. Russian patriot doesn't mean he's a good guy. It just means he loves his country and is fighting for it. And how he does that, that's, you can ask all the time. Putin hates the UK City of London system. He hates the globalists in the EU, which right now that is our biggest enemy. So like him or not, he's on our side in this fight. Afterwards, he can do what's best for Russia and we can do what's best for America. And, Ukraine is a hub and connected to a lot of City of London's plans. So again, you don't have to like Putin. You don't have to trust him. But there's literally no evidence that he's worse for us, our country, than the City of London globalists are. They are much, much worse. And so, you can make your decision on whose side you want to be on. But at this point, if you're anti-Putin and you're supporting the sanctions on Russia that are all UK-led, you're supporting the push against Russia, the expansion of NATO, you're supporting City of London, which City of London is the deep state that has been hurting us for decades, not Russia. So that's what you need to decide, but that's where all the evidence stands. That's where all the evidence stands. And I can tell you, as somebody who used to hate Putin and Russia, used to buy all the BS, I used to believe all of it. And I've since seen the evidence and done the research and found that I was wrong. And you know what? I grew and I learned. But now the evidence is overwhelming that Putin is anti-globalist deep state, anti-globalization, and pro-sovereignty. And for us, that's the best thing. And that's why Trump is building a coalition with him and even China. Because guess what? Nobody has been, well, I won't say nobody, but of the major countries, China, Russia, and us have been hurt by UK, the City of London system, more than anyone else. Because they have, go back to the Opium Wars for China. That was all British Empire, which is, the City of London is the remnants of the British Empire, their colonial system, but they just made it financial now. You have Russia has been a main enemy of UK, City of London for centuries. Our main enemy for the first 150 years of our existence was London. And Russia often supported us. So yeah, I mean, you can make all your criticisms of Russia, and that's fine. Savs says right now, Russia Orthodox churches take control. I agree with you. But if you think Ukraine's better, I got, I got some oceanfront property in Arizona to sell you. They're the ones who have built up their people and, Nazis and all kinds of crazy stuff. Can we start a petition for the Save America Act? I mean, we could. I don't know what good it would do. We already have 85% of Americans supporting it. They're blocking it on purpose. Yeah, listen, I'm not making the argument Putin's a good guy, but I am making the argument that right now he's on our side. And that's what's important right now. Look, in war, you can't be picky about your allies. You just can't. All right. Let's see. This is a good conversation to bring into the the chat, the Discord chat, if you're a member, because I could tell you guys could go back and forth for a long time. Starchild says, can't remember if it's Epstein files or emails. Sounds like Zelensky was installed by Epstein. I don't know if Epstein personally was part of installing him, but I do believe they were talking a lot about it during that whole color revolution saga. And, Epstein was a person who was consulting a lot of the people in the the Obama administrations. Sorry. And so a lot of Epstein's ideas and control was in choosing directions of the Obama administration. So yeah, you can make that argument. Anyways. All right. Well, like I said, I kind of said my piece on that, and it looks like that's where the chat's all about. So listen, guys, if you don't have anything else for me, we'll call it a day for now. I got plenty of clips coming up. Guys, what was I going to say? Members, plan on a members live either tonight or tomorrow. I'm putting together the final notes, and then I'll bring it out for you. Why is the market tanking? Because it's overbought, Vince. It's overbought right now, and they waited for Trump to have good economic numbers to attack the market. And so you get these blowout numbers right now on the markets with blowout numbers for jobs, okay, and the markets tank. How does that make sense? I mean, look at NASDAQ's down almost 4%. That's crazy. So yeah, they waited. They attacked. It was overbought and ready for a tumble, and they attacked right when he got good news. So do the math. None of this is coincidence. Even Trump called it out. Did you see that? He called it out. He said, "Why is the market tanking after good economic news? This is not how it's supposed to be." So. The enemy is weaker. It's getting pushed back, but they still have weapons they employ sometimes. So there you go. Anything else? Let's see here. Lisa Doxy says, pipeline from Russia to Alaska is great, right? I would say so. Yes, absolutely. Think about this. Russia has arguably the most natural resources in the entire world, rare earth minerals, oil, et cetera, et cetera. If we make a big connection with them, a trade connection deal where we're getting resources and, you know, they're getting whatever from us, that's very good for us, especially if we have a close connection, which makes that trade easy. So yeah, it's very good for us. All right. Well, guys, on that note, let's call it a day for now. Love you guys. Appreciate you. Let's end in a prayer. And I'll be back again Monday at noon, unless something crazy happens, like we start attacking Iran or whatever, and then I'll be back on again this weekend. But you guys have a blessed weekend. Again, please hit the like and subscribe on your way out. Please consider joining the membership and supporting the channel for all I do. I greatly appreciate it. The membership is amazing. The people in there are awesome. I think you'd really love them. And members' content's only getting better. Done a couple of members' lives the last 2 weeks. They're ramping up. I'll be having another one soon. Starting classes, all that fun stuff. So please consider that. You get a free month by clicking the link in the description. Let's pray and call it a day for the weekend. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for today, God. Thank you for all you're doing, Father, what we can see you doing through the Trump administration. The winning that is happening, it is amazing. So, God, I pray for wisdom, protection, and courage for President Trump and everybody with him, Lord, to keep pushing forward and solving impossible problems. We pray for the Iran war, Lord, to end in the best possible scenario for us and for the people of Iran, God, so that we can move forward for that. And the Cuba, Russia, Ukraine, all of it, Lord, will be settled. And God, we can just get massive wins here at home moving forward. I pray for the corrupt to be exposed, for them to be exposed and punished for their crimes. And God, that more peace, justice, and prosperity comes back to our country than ever before. We bless our country. We thank you for our country. And God, we pray that you just guide us to do whatever we can to leave a better country to our kids, grandkids, and great-grandkids. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. Bless you guys. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you all on Monday. Take care.